Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Hermanas Unfiltered, where we keep it real, honest, and absolutely necessary. My name is Isela.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Casey. And today we're going to go there, okay? We're going to talk about the little device in your hand, in your pocket, or maybe sitting on the table right in front of you,
Right here.
your phone.
That's right, Casey. So, listen, we're not here to bash technology. We use it too, man. It's everywhere. But let's be real, phones are quietly destroying us. They're destroying our marriages, our kids, our mental health, and some may even dare to say they are destroying our education.
Yeah, I totally agree. And let's just say it, okay? Like, our phones are changing who we are, they're changing how we show up, they're changing how we love. I know I see this, with our spouses or our kids. And it's also changing how we think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, think about it. How many times are you sitting together in a room, eating
Hmm.
dinner, watching TV, things like that, and somebody's on their phone scrolling?
Oh, yeah. It
Every
happens
time.
everywhere. It
Yeah.
happens in the grocery store, in line when you're waiting to pay, restaurants, everywhere. Like everyone is so glued to their phones.
Think about it. You know what is the thing that I hate the most when I'm driving and the light
Hmm.
has been green for like I don't know, a
Yes.
whole 10, 15 seconds, which granted is not a lot, but those lights
Hmm.
change so quick. Nobody has time to sit there and wait for it. It gets on my nerves. Or dude, let me tell you this. So we went to my daughter's soccer game on Sunday, I believe.
Hmm.
And when we left the complex, there was this car in front of me and he was swinging left and right.
No,
And I
dude.
thought, is he drunk? I mean, they literally left the soccer fields the same time that we did. So I had to like keep my distance, and I didn't want to pass him because he was just like a shark, like a fish, just left and right, left and
Just
right.
swerving.
So anyway, he got on the turning lane to turn right, coming the same
Hmm.
direction as us. So when we turned, I passed him and I saw him, and I shit you not, he was driving. He was holding the steering wheel like this, and he had
Hmm.
his phones like this, watching a video
What?
while he was driving
What?
with his phone sideways, just cruising, but
Wow.
like a fish down the road.
Wow. That's insane. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. I get it standing, in line at the grocery store. I get it if you're laying down in bed or like you and your spouse are like watching TV. Okay, I don't necessarily approve it, but I get it. But what I don't get is how can you do that while driving? I draw the line there. I draw the line.
Yeah, how do you like if you want to have an accident? I mean, nobody wants to have an accident, but if you are as careless not to care about your life like
Yeah.
that, that's selfish. Think about all the people, in other vehicles. And you
Yeah.
don't only see it in the street going 45 miles an hour. I see it on the highway when we go to the next town over.
Mm.
People are flying down those two lanes and they're going
Mhm.
80 miles an hour with their phone on the steering wheel as they're holding it. It's
Ugh.
scary. It's
Yeah.
so scary.
It
People are
is.
nuts.
Mhm.
Something needs to give.
Agreed. I agree. I agree. I don't know how things are going to change and if they will change. I think, there's a serious problem going on in America. And I don't know if it's like that in other countries, but I know for sure here it's insane.
Yeah, if you are listening or watching from somewhere other than America, drop us a comment and let us know. I'm hoping that we're like famous somewhere overseas or in Mexico somewhere, just let us know, man.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's start with this. Your phone is not neutral, it is designed to create an addiction on you.
So there's a 2023 study from the NIH that found that dopamine spikes in the brain from social media are very similar to those that you get when you're gambling or when you're using drugs. And those dopamine hits, yeah, that's what keeps us scrolling. They, get us to chase that next feel good moment. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So analyze it, think about it. When you go to bed and you lay down, let's say, I was listening, who is that lady that you recommended the podcast?
Oh, Mel
The lady
Robbins.
Mel Robbins. I was
Yes.
listening to one of her episodes. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard it yet, but she was talking about how you can change little things in your life to make you happier and get you out of that sludge, right? And one of the
Mhm.
things that she said, I never go to bed with my
Mhm.
phone charging next to me. I put it in the closet or in the
That's smart.
bathroom. I put it a charge in the bathroom where it's away from me. She said, get you one of those old school alarms that's going to wake you up. Don't use your phone. She said, because I know that if my phone is next to me, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to scroll on it. And if I tell myself I'm going to go to sleep at 9, I'll end up staying up until 11, 12, and I'll just
Yeah.
doom scroll for 2, 3
Yeah.
hours without thinking about it. And it's so true. I find
Yeah.
myself doing the same thing sometimes at night. I tell myself I'm going to go to bed early, and then next thing you know, it's almost midnight and I've been scrolling for hours. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
So think about it. If us adults are prone to do things like that, kids and
Mhm.
teens are especially vulnerable to these things. So, according to the Journal of Adolescent Health, they found that teens who spend more than 3 hours a day on screens are 34% more likely to experience poor mental health, um, and show symptoms like depression and anxiety. Think about it,
Wow.
34%. That's a good number. It's a
Yeah, that
high number.
is. Yeah. And you know what? That makes sense. It really does. I think mental health is such a big thing now in schools, and I don't think it ever had been. And I think not only are we more aware, right, as humans, we're more aware about our mental health, what can hurt us, what can make us feel good, but I feel like our kids are also more aware. And I feel like they are now at the, especially like middle school and high school, they're at the point where they can tell us, how they
Hmm.
feel. And I feel like a lot of kids suffer, with mental health problems. And a lot of it is, maybe more on the depression side.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I see it all the time. They definitely are able to identify, um, not all of them, don't get me wrong. There's still a good chunk that won't say anything, but there is some that are very aware. This is not normal. I'm feeling a certain way, like I'm sad all the time.
Hmm.
I've had kids say things like that sometimes, like in talking, I feel sad a lot more than I feel happy. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't even know what's causing me to be sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet a lot of this is the doom scrolling.
It's gotta be, dude.
Yeah, and the access to social media, the access to, the 10% of the population that's beautiful and smart and whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a fake reality when it
Yeah.
comes to social media. And a lot of the times, these kiddos compare themselves to, these social media gods, and they think that's reality, which it's not.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah. All right. So, why phones cause depression? Let's talk about that. So, let's talk science for a little bit, okay? So, every time you get a like, a comment, a notification, your brain releases dopamine.
There it is.
Mhm.
But then the funny thing about it is that over time, it's like everything. Your brain builds tolerance to that release, right? So that means that you need more and more screen time to get that feeling back. So, and then that causes you to have less joy from real life. So, think about it. How many of us, and I'm not saying just kids, because adults are
Yeah.
the same way. They spend a lot of time scrolling, and they get addicted to that. Social media just gives you that little bit of dopamine sometimes. So then you kind of detach from real life, and you stop
Mhm.
enjoying, being social and spending time with people.
Yeah, it's like we're literally rewiring our brains to depend on an external validation, instead of internal peace. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Hmm. And then think about this also. You have constant exposure to filtered fake curated lives on social media that it just leads to comparison fatigue. And then you know what that breeds?
Mm.
Shame, disconnection, depression, all of the bad things.
Wow, that makes so much sense. It really does. You know what I love? I love watching on social media, whether it's Instagram or TikTok. I like watching the the real versus the fake pictures or the real versus the fake videos. Oh, I just love that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, a lot of the times we think that everything we see on social media must be true. If it's
Mm-hmm.
on there, it must be real. She must look like that all the time. But yeah, no, nobody looks that great 24/7. We're all imperfect and we all have our imperfections. And that's what, makes us unique and beautiful in our own way. And unfortunately, we start, creating these standards that we have to live up to. And all of those, half of them are all fake or they've been staged or created to, have this curated perfect life.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of makes you wonder, like, do you sometimes stop and think about like what our world has become?
Yeah, the world is constantly changing around us, and technology has definitely caused a shift in our world where things we don't even have to think half the time. Our phones are our little handheld computers that we take everywhere. We can find out everything and anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, life is different. And then we have the doomsday scrolling and the infinite amount of people that we can connect to. And yeah, it's so different.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it's amazing having all that available. It's so great. Every time you need to know something, I learned so much on TikTok,
Yeah.
like recipes, crafts. I especially love seeing how talented people are,
Mhm.
from singing to building things to anything that people are amazing.
Yeah.
I love that TikTok has given us that. Um, I feel like I almost don't Google things anymore.
No.
I
Mm-mm.
go to TikTok to find answers, right? Which is
Yeah.
great. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Technology is amazing. It has done amazing things for everybody in this world.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a line. And people
Yeah.
have to be able to recognize it. And I will never get tired of saying this.
Mhm.
Kids are not meant to
Mm-mm.
have devices or social media.
Yeah.
And again, this is my
Yeah.
humble opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, I did countless of research papers during grad school and undergrad because I majored in psychology about technology and video games and how it rewires the kids' brains. And it's just, I mean, it's true. It does. It's kind
Yeah.
of like cocoa melon. It rewires the
Yeah.
kid's brain. It's like crack for them, right? So
Yeah.
there is a science behind it, whether people want to believe it or not. And
Yeah.
it's not good for their little brains because they're still developing.
Yeah. And you know what the sad part is? That we're
Hmm.
not going to know the effects until like our kids. You know what I mean? Like maybe by then we'll have like a little bit more research and more time for us to know the full effect of what the phones are going to do to us.
Shut up, Copper.
Dude, if it ain't the kids, it's the dog. And then I'm over here giving my kid a phone. Go, baby, go take my phone. Go
Get
doomsday
out of here.
scroll. Have fun. Have fun frying your brain.
uh, I just need a little peace for an hour. Just let me have this. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing. We are so invested. We need time, right?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
I understand why parents do it. I really
yeah,
truly do understand because we're all guilty of it. Earlier I was cleaning my house and I just needed a moment of peace so I could get it done. And I told my son, my youngest, I said, "Hey, go find something to watch on TV. Please, just let me have an hour so I can get this house clean." And like I said,
yeah,
I get it. We're all guilty of it. We all want a little bit of peace and time to do the things that we need to do, but there's got to be a stop point.
yeah.
You have to
I
have
agree.
rules for your kids, and there's got to be a stop point. It cannot be doom scrolling all day long. Kids cannot be glued to iPads all day long or video games or things like that. So, again, my humble opinion, this is the rules in my house. Every parent is different. Everybody is different, but it, it is what it is. And I know that you say that we won't know how big the consequences are until later on, but I think you can already see them. You're an educator, I'm an educator. We see it. These kids have no attention span. They have no desire to learn. Um if it's not a 30-40 second TikTok video, they don't want it. You know, what I have noticed a change. Mind you, I was only in the classroom for 5 years. Okay,
Mhm.
5 years. TikTok was not as big. 19 2020 school year.
Yeah.
It kind of blew up during COVID. Okay,
Yeah.
getting students to watch a movie
Mhm.
is impossible nowadays. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that? When I first started teaching,
Uh.
kids could actually sit through a movie
Mhm.
and watch it during class. They didn't want to scroll, they didn't want to talk, they didn't want to be up walking around. They actually sat down and watched the movie. Now, fast forward to my last year teaching, which was last year, kids cannot sit for 30 minutes straight and watch a movie. They're talking to each other, they're walking around the classroom, they want to be on their phones. They have no interest in any of that. You know how movies used to be exciting for us?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
anymore.
I think it depends on the movie though, because I think a lot of movies that we show just aren't relatable to them anymore. Because
Yeah,
from the, you know what I mean? Like things have
yeah,
changed so quickly,
I
technology
can see
has
that.
changed so quickly. So they're not going to get 80s movies. They'll get maybe some 90s movies, but they don't want to watch it. If it's not anything like even 2000s is a little like, yeah, I could care less, you know? So I think that has a lot to do with it is the content, and if it's not fully engaging and action packed and, giving you all these little, I don't know, dopamine moments, they're not going to care for it. They really aren't.
What
Um,
did we just talk about though?
I
Dopamine
know,
moments from
I
your
know,
phone.
I know. That's what they want. That's what they crave. And I don't know. The movies that I've shown, this one's super old. I show, what do I show? What's the name of the book? No, what's the name of the book? The old school book with the kids. Ah,
What are the kids
go.
doing?
It's the, what's the name of the book? Oh my gosh, I'm having a total freaking brain fart. Pony Boy book. Outsiders. Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
The Outsiders?
The Outsiders. They love that stinky movie, and it's old as heck.
I've never seen The Outsiders or
Yeah.
read The Outsiders.
Oh yeah, we read The Outsiders every year, and my kids are glued to the chair watching The Outsiders. Granted, the girls are in love with the boys because they're so cute and dreamy, and
Mm.
then the boys just think that the other boys are so cool because they're tough and they drink and they have switchblades and they fight. So I get parent permission every year, and it's just one of those books that, unless you've read it and you understand, the book, like, I don't know, I show it every year. It's a great book. My kids, it engages my kids. It's the only thing that engages them. So that's one movie that they'll sit and they'll watch on the edge of their seat. And then there's another movie that I show as well, and it's based off a book, and they just absolutely love it. And what is the name of that movie? My gosh. um
Gilligan's Island.
no, it's not Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island is a show.
I know.
They're so funny. Oh, okay. All right. So the other movie that I play that my kiddos love is The Maze Runner. They love it.
Well, that is a good movie, though.
Like
Yeah,
they,
that's a really good movie.
yeah. So those are the only movies I show throughout the year. Otherwise, I don't show any movies. We don't watch movies in my classroom.
Hmm. I didn't show a whole lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a documentary gal,
Yeah.
Um, but they were great documentaries, and they did keep them engaged. But there's like the
Yeah.
few kids that are like,
Squiggly.
nah, dog, I'm not doing this. Documentaries, Living on a Dollar, that's a great documentary. On the Way to School, and they're all
Mm-hmm.
about foreign countries, like how they
Yeah.
live, how they struggle, and it's more of like a learning. Some kids soak it
Yeah.
in and they're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, we're so spoiled. We have it so good. We didn't
Mhm.
realize how bad other people lived."
Yeah.
Um, but then you have those kids that are like, "Who cares?"
Boring.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So
not relevant to them, so they could care
no, no,
less.
no, no. They can't relate to it, so they
Yeah.
don't care. But anyway, again, I think we see it
Yeah.
somewhere in there. It's
Yeah.
starting to pop up. All those iPad kids are in school now.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
those COVID kids. I mean, my COVID kid is in school. Your COVID kid is in school.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily COVID kids, but they were born around the time. So,
They were. Yeah.
um, it's we try our darndest, and like I said,
Yeah.
it's a choice. Every parent has that choice. You do what works best for you, but again, in my opinion, it's not good for them. So take it as you want. Take it as you will.
Yeah, for sure. Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about how phones are destroying relationships because I think
Mm,
this is a big one. This is, it affects relationships in so many ways. So, this one hits home for sure because I feel phones are hurting everyone's marriage in so many ways. Studies show that the average couple spends only 35 minutes a week in a meaningful conversation with each other. But we spend over 3 hours a day. That's minimum, okay?
wow.
This is minimum on our phones.
Yeah, I can see that. Whoo, I can see that. Okay,
Mhm.
and it's not just the time. It's the emotional unavailability. Okay. So you're there, but you're not really there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And think
Oh
about it.
yeah.
We're all guilty of it. I know I
Yeah.
am. I know
I
my
see it all
husband
the
is.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do it all the time. We'll sit on opposite ends of the couch
Mhm.
and we'll each be scrolling on our phones or
When
sending
the TV's on.
messages. Yep. Yep.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
nobody's watching.
Yep. Yep. In restaurants, I see it. You'll see couples there and they're on their phones. And you
Both
know
of us.
what? And it's not just people our age. It's like older people too. Like
Mhm.
now you have like the boomers on their phones and like,
Oh
you know what
yeah.
I mean? So
Mhm.
this is like the phone does not discriminate.
Mm-mm.
It will get each and every one of you regardless of how old you are. So this is not just a our age problem, our kids, it's our grandparents too. It's affecting everybody. And I don't know, it's so sad. It makes me so sad because I feel like phones really are disconnecting us from each other and
Mhm.
dehumanizing us a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right. It is everybody. Nobody is immune to this. I see it with my parents. My parents
Yeah.
are boomers, right? Our parents are boomers.
Mhm.
We agreed on that? Okay.
Yeah.
So, we go over to their house and there's my dad scrolling. And sometimes we'll call him out on it and we're like, "Hey, we're here to see you. Get off your phone."
Yeah.
Or like Thanksgiving dinner this past year. We were all playing dominoes, having a great time, and he's on the side scrolling.
Yeah.
So there we are calling him out again on it. Hey, get off your phone, join the fun. We're here together. Get off your phone. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really it's an epidemic.
Yeah, yeah. It's so sad. I feel like we're choosing our phones over people, over
Mhm.
conversations, over intimacy, over connection, and sometimes even over sex, which is
What?
crazy. A recent UK study found that 1 in 10 couples admit to checking their phones
What?
during the deed. Like,
What?
okay, there is something wrong with you if you are checking your phone when you're spending quality time with your significant other. Like, you got some
Wow.
problems. Like,
Yeah.
dump the guy. Dump the guy. Just leave him. You don't need him.
Or the
He
gal.
or the gal.
It could be the gal.
That's true. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Isn't that insane? But it's true though. And And I feel like people would much rather scroll than talk to their partners or
Mm,
hang out with their partners or it's just but I get it cuz it's so easy. It's so easy to pick up the phone and just unwind, right? Or you
mhm.
think you're unwinding, but really you're just screwing up your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. I mean, it is like I said, I'm guilty of it. I know my husband's guilty of it. Like I know. Sometimes, if he's in the living room playing video games, I'll come in the room to lay down. And there I
Yeah.
am scrolling, just scrolling on TikTok or Facebook
Yeah.
or Instagram, whatever. So again, we fall back. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
TikTok is amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a stopping point. And if this has become a problem in your life and it's ruining your relationship, y'all got to talk about it, man. You got to talk about
Mhm.
it, and you got to come to an agreement that we're going to have dinner, there'll be no phones. Leave them in the other room. If you're having dinner together at home, leave your phone in the bedroom and go to the
Yeah.
kitchen or the dining room and sit down and have a meal together and actually talk to each other. Or
Yeah.
if you're gonna watch a show together or a movie, you know, make it a rule. No phones allowed.
Yeah. And let's not forget, like, it's not just the scrolling, that's ruining marriages. There's the access to things that you shouldn't be watching,
Mm-hmm.
is just there, right? There's um women or men, they have access to other, females or males. And it's so easy to just drop a DM or to like a video, or you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And before you know it, it's like, oh, it's no big deal. And then you're communicating with this other person. So it's like, the iPhone has been breaking up marriages, these last 5 years, 10 years, whatever, yeah, it's just the access to people. And sometimes we would much rather connect to people on social media than with our own spouses or, our significant others.
Yeah, I agree. So if you feel like your phone is more connected to your partner, then maybe it's time for a wake up call and it's time to change things.
Yeah, it's time to have those conversations and definitely put it all out on the table and talk about what makes you uncomfortable and what changes need to be made.
Yeah, I completely agree. Talk about it, compromise. Something's got to change. And if your partner and you are really willing to make changes and be in a relationship, then y'all got to compromise.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Casey, let's shift again and let's talk about kids being raised by screens. Okay, I
Yeah.
know this one breaks my heart.
Hmm.
So, according to studies, the average 8 to 12-year-old spends 4 to 6 hours a day on a screen. 4 to 6 hours. That's almost a whole workday on screens. And these are 8 to 12-year-olds. Okay? And then for teens, teens spend over 7 hours a day on their screens. 7 hours.
Yeah, I believe it. You know, so I know our kiddos, the older kiddos, may not have their phones, but they still have access to their Chromebooks and they can still search things up on the web. I know we've banned a lot of um, sites on our end where the kids, they can't get on YouTube and they can't get on certain, sites, so they're very limited to the things that they can access at school, but they still have a Chromebook and they still have access to that technology. And trust me, they will find a way.
Mhm.
They have ways of how to get on their phones when people aren't watching, how to, scroll social media. Like, I guarantee you a lot of these kiddos are hiding their phones and going to the restroom and checking their phones.
Mhm.
um, I caught a student of mine checking her phone during class. And I was like, what? Like, I would never, ever think of doing such a thing in school. Like, are you kidding me? Like, the thought of me getting in trouble in school
Mhm.
just, makes me want to hyperventilate. These kiddos are built differently, let me tell you. Like, they will risk it. They will risk it for their phones, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's that addiction, man, and you see it. Like, I know our campus is a phone-free campus. They're not supposed to have them, but
Hmm.
they find ways to sneak them, like you
Yeah.
said, left and right. And when they do get caught with the phone, it gets picked up and it goes to the office. Some of those kids, after the phone gets picked up in between classes, they'll
Mhm.
come in the office in a panic. I need my phone back. I need my phone back. My phone got picked up.
Yeah.
Literally in a panic because
Yeah.
their phone got taken away. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like to them it's the end of the world
Mhm.
if their phones are not glued to them for the rest of the school day.
Yeah. They don't know how to function without them.
No, they do not.
Yeah. And it's crazy because the longer they're on their screens, the more we see a drop in empathy, in attention span, in sleep quality, and in emotional regulation.
Yeah, and I see it. I see it
Yeah.
every day.
It's very evident. I think as
Mhm.
educators, like we can see it. We're able to, see it a little bit more than what other people um, are able to. But yeah, man, start paying attention to your kiddos and start paying attention to, how they're not able to sit for long periods of time and how, they just don't care about certain issues or things. And I think a lot of it
Yeah.
has to do with the screen time.
Yeah. I feel like empathy is such a big one,
Hmm.
and emotional regulation as well, but empathy, especially in middle school,
Hmm.
some of these kids have no empathy
Yeah.
whatsoever, and it's
Yeah.
sad. It's really really sad that we've gotten to this point to where, they make fun of each other because a family member passed away,
Yeah.
or, little, like, not little, they're not little things, big things that they should be, they should care for their friends, and they
Yeah.
just don't have it in them. They don't have it in them. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care for each other.
Yeah. It's so
So,
weird.
yeah, I feel like honestly, screens are robbing our kids of imagination and human
Mm.
connection.
Yeah.
And a big one, boredom.
Mm.
These kids do not know how to be bored. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, my kids are, I'm bored, entertain me. I'm like, figure it out.
No, yeah,
Figure it
like
out.
they don't know how to be bored. And boredom is healthy for them. They need it so they can be creative. And if they don't know how to be bored, they lose that chance to be creative.
Yeah. 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 It's crazy because I'll ask kiddos when they're reading, hey, can you see the book when you're reading? They're like, what? Huh? They can't picture it. They can't picture it. And I think that's why I feel like graphic novels are so popular because the kids can't form the pictures. Their imaginations just like aren't, they're not up to par. It's
Ah,
weird.
that makes me so sad.
I'm like, do y'all not see like a movie in your head as you're reading? Like, do you not visual, like everything just goes away? Like the words, the sounds, everything should go away, and all you should see is like this motion picture.
In
And
your
they're
head,
looking
yeah.
at, yeah, they're looking at me like I'm crazy.
Wait, like, is this actually for reals? Like,
Yeah,
most kids, every
yeah,
kid, the
yeah.
majority of them?
I want to say it's a 50-50 toss up. That's a lot.
My God.
And I'm like, wait, you don't see images? And they're just like, huh? And like your avid readers, the kids that are like on level and are reading and they read a lot, oh yeah, they're fine. But yeah, most of the kids, yeah, 50%. At least 50% of my kiddos cannot see an image, or they'll see like a semi image, or like a fraction of what's happening in the book.
That is so sad. That makes me so sad because I love reading, and that's one of the big reasons why I love reading, because
Hmm.
I picture it in my head. And I
Yeah,
get it. People that are not readers, some people that are not actual readers, or that are readers but they don't have, they like to read but they don't have the ability to see it in their heads. I know
yeah,
that's a thing.
yeah,
But for 50% of them to not be able to relate or do that, that's
yeah,
really sad.
yeah.
Really sad.
And I think a lot of it has to do with them just not, I don't know, maybe because they're so visual now and all they're used to is seeing the images of whatever it is that they're scrolling on or they're seeing, that their brains just are maybe lazy. Maybe their brains just aren't forming those images for them, which is kind of weird because you would think it'd be the opposite, right? Because they're exposed to so many more things
Mhm.
and they're able, you would think like they would be able to like clip those images, right? Or those things that they've seen and create. But I don't know. I think they have a really hard time creating images in their brains.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a lazy brain type of deal. I think it's just maybe because they are missing out on, being creative
Yeah.
and, using their imagination, human connections and all of that. That is just
Yeah.
all of that is contributing to them not being able to do those things.
We're raising a generation that is truly uncomfortable being alone with their thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, nobody likes being alone with their thoughts sometimes, but
No, but
I
I feel
think
like
it's,
it's hard for them,
yeah.
like on a different level, where they have to say everything out loud. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yes. Did it just click in your brain just now
Yes,
too?
yes.
Yes. They have no
Yes.
filter.
No, no filter, and like the things that they are thinking come out. Like, I don't know, like I think a lot of things go to my brain. Some are nice and some are not so nice, but not all of them come out, you
No,
know?
they
But
should
with
not.
these kids, it's like 24/7.
Word vomit
Huh?
left
And
and right.
yeah, and they think it's like their show. Like it's like they're the main character. Oh my gosh, they're the main character of their show and they're constantly like just throwing it all out there. Because constantly have to tell my students like, "Hey, keep your thought bubbles in your head. Like I don't want to hear your thought bubbles. Like I should not be able to hear them." They can't. They can't. It's so hard for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes total sense. All right, Casey. So, who do you think is the most vulnerable to phone addiction? Take a guess.
I want to say maybe like kids, like younger kids. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. My guess.
Yeah. So, it's teens and young adults because their brains are still developing.
I agree.
And I also think that moms and parents, we are exhausted. So we use our phones to cope, like you said. And then another group of people that is also um, more prone to be addictive is people that are struggling with depression or anxiety because they provide a false relief. So it kind of like they use it to cope.
Totally makes sense. I can totally see that, teens and young kiddos, I feel like they're more impressionable. And then, us parents were like, yeesh, we just need some downtime. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people with depression and anxiety, like they want that dopamine. And instead of exercising or doing, something else, it's so much easier to grab your phone and just scroll and
Mm-hmm.
get that dopamine. So, yeah, I definitely feel that the more overwhelmed or emotionally exhausted you are, the more likely that you are going to reach for your phone instead of, reaching inward or trying to fix whatever it is that's going on with yourself. It's just like we said, the phone, it's handy, it's easy to look at, it's easy to work. It's a no-brainer why it's so easy for people to become phone addicts.
Yeah. And, it's not all negative. Again, we're not trying to be negative. We're not hating on them. I love my phone. But, you got to think about it. You're also not powerless. You can take your life back, you can take control of it. So, we can give you a few tips on how to take your life back. Um, so, tip number one is track your screen time.
Yeah. And I think I love what you said. Like, you're right. This isn't a negative episode. We're not trying to, like, you know, make the phone the bad guy. I think as long as you're aware, right? You're aware
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, everything in moderation, especially when it comes to your phone. I think once you become more aware of it, then you can make those changes. I definitely think that tracking your screen time is, a great place to start. I know on your phone, right? There's like a place where it tells you like your screen time, like your weekly screen time,
Mm-hmm.
or is it weekly or however you program it. um, and I always try to like go lower instead of increasing my screen time. So I think that's, you want to be proactive about it. So using phone settings to monitor your usage is definitely going to help you, track your screen time. Um, and you'll be shocked by how much actual screen time you use.
Yeah.
Um, I know when I saw mine, I was like, oh, yeah, that's bad.
Mhm. And I like, at least on the iPhone, I like that it breaks it down for you. It tells you what percentage of that whole time you spend on each app.
Yeah.
So, I know for me, the majority of it is social media. No surprise
Mm-hmm.
here. Um, so I think mine comes out every Sunday. It'll pop up and it'll tell me
Mm-hmm.
like this week you use so many hours of screen time. So that's definitely a great tool if you actually look at it and not ignore it like I do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so easy to just like swipe it away and be
Swipe it
like,
away.
Not this
No thanks.
week." Like I know it was bad this week, but
Don't shame me this week.
right? But hey, it's there. It's an option. It's a great way to track your screen time. So why not use it? Why not, um, I don't know, do something productive when it comes to it. Another thing you can do to kind of help you with, controlling your screen time is creating that phone free zone where in this area, like especially the dinner table, no phones allowed, like you said earlier, Isela. I think that's a great place to start, is the dinner table. And then little by little you can create like other places, or let's say maybe you're on vacation and you guys go out to a restaurant together, and you could say, okay, no, this is going to be a phone free zone.
Mhm.
Or if you guys go to the park, right, as a family, and you're like, okay, nobody's allowed to get on their phones. You guys are going to go play. You're going to go down the slides, find something, take a football, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think, baby steps. Definitely start with little baby steps, and then
Mhm.
before you know it, it becomes a habit.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That's a big one. Also, what you can do is turn off all non essential notifications. So, that little ping that's constantly interrupting your brain's natural flow, turn it
Mm-hmm.
off.
Yeah.
Use the do not disturb. I know your phone gives you that option to do it's not do not disturb, but what is it called?
The
Um
sleep mode.
yeah, so you have sleep mode, you have all kinds of things. Um You can create others just like you do for work or things like that. Just do it. That way you minimize all the notifications.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the sleep mode. That's one of the ones that I really like. And it activates every day at 7 o'clock. So if you text me, it's not that I'm ignoring you or that it's just that I'll pick up my phone every once in a while and I'll check stuff. So, eventually I'll get back to you. But I think it's just nice to have that time where you don't have to worry about notifications, you don't have to worry about text messages, and it's just your time to, you know, have that downtime.
Yeah. Dang, dude, yours is early. 7 o'clock. I thought mine was
Yeah.
early. Mine comes out at 8.
Does it?
Yeah.
I think it's 7. I should probably kick it back or kick it forward a little bit because I feel like I miss out on a lot of stuff. And then in the morning, I'm like, oh man, I didn't see this text message, because it's on a little earlier than it should be.
Yeah. Mine is at 8. And sometimes, sometimes I will pass out at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people will be texting me at 10 o'clock. Like our niece will be texting me at 11. And I would text her in the morning. I'm like, hey, Mika, you know not to text me that late. I'm an old lady.
You're
I was
like,
already in bed.
my bad. That's funny. Yeah, but
God
it
forbid
is.
you ever have an emergency because your tia's not going to pick up the phone.
Dude, for real. Yeah. Yeah. If you have an emergency, don't call me. I never answer my phone, never answer my text messages. I am the worst. But yeah, I'll have to take those notifications, or I'll have to take the sleep mode off. Like when the kids go on out of town games or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get scared that I'm going to forget to like remove it, and I'm not going to, hear the phone ring, and I'm not going to pick them up or whatever. But yeah, they're nice to have.
Yeah, they are. Another feature that I really like on the iPhones, Casey, is that you have app limits. I know I've talked about it before, but you can literally lock apps after a certain time. We use that for our kids all the time. They have an
Yeah.
app. They have app limits. After
Hmm.
an hour that they've been on one app, it locks, and then if they want to
Hmm.
get back on it, they have to send a request. And then I think after 8 o'clock, everything locks.
Mhm.
They're not allowed to get on anything on their phones, every day.
Yeah.
So, use them for yourself as well. If you know that you have a problem doom scrolling through TikTok after 8 o'clock at night and you're trying to get a better sleep, lock your apps, man, and then be strong and stick to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I agree. I like to like not carry my phone with me all the time, which is a
Yeah.
good and a bad thing. So like my phone will end up, I don't want to say lost, but I'll set it down and then the kids will grab it and the kids will like carry it around. And before I know it, it's like been, 3, 4, 5 hours and I haven't seen my phone. And I'm okay with that. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I really do. Like I secretly enjoy not having my phone on me because I know that if my phone is right next to me, I'm gonna like the temptation is just so
Mhm.
strong.
Yeah.
Um, but going back to like how to break the cycle, one thing you could do is replace the habit, right? When you reach for your phone, maybe reach for a book or a journal or step outside. So maybe you don't have to be as drastic as I am, just leaving my phone somewhere and trying to forget it. But yeah, be mindful of your usage. I think that's what it comes down to. It's not so much like don't use your phone or your phone is horrible. I mean, they serve a purpose. They really
Mhm.
do. They're great for communicating and keeping in touch with people, and they've made life so convenient. You just, you want to be just aware of, is your phone controlling you? And if your phone is controlling you, then that's when you need to start making changes.
Yeah. I agree. And let's talk about, Casey, what the future could look like if we don't change, if we don't make any changes now. Um, so I feel
Mhm.
that if we keep going down this path, based on everything that we talked about and things that we have seen, if we keep going down this path, we're looking at things like having less empathy, feeling lonely, um, you know, a generation that's going to be afraid to look at people in the eye. And again,
Mhm.
we see that now. We see that. Some kids cannot have a conversation with you and make eye contact. So if we keep going down this road, it's only going to get progressively worse.
Yeah. It's so true. And I feel like not only is it going to hurt us in that aspect, but it's also going to hurt our marriages. We are
Mhm.
risking marriages built on silence, on kids being raised by screens, and adults being too numb to care. And I feel like we're seeing it already. It's present
Mhm.
there. You see the silence when people go out to eat and everybody's on their phone. You see it when you see other couples and the way they interact. um, it's not good for our society at all.
No, it's not. But the good thing about this is that you are standing at a fork in the road and you can choose differently. You got different ways and you have the power to choose which way you're going to take this.
Yeah, definitely. Look at what's going on in your life, and if your phone has just become too much, you got to set those boundaries. We've talked about it. Boundaries is one of our biggest words. And you have to set limits. You have to set boundaries with your phone as well, not just with people, but set those boundaries with your cell phone.
Mhm. I agree.
All right, guys. So, for those of you listening, here's your challenge. Can you go at least 12 hours without your phone? Or maybe put your phone for 12 hours on do not disturb. And then notice what changes you see. Like what's happening up here? What's happening in here? Do you notice any changes?
Yeah. So if you are able to do that, we want to hear from you. We want to know about it. So comment on YouTube or send us a DM on Instagram or send us an email. And, if you do it, make a video about it, tell us your experience and tag us on it. And, put the comment on there. My phone doesn't control me. Let us know what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see, how others feel about going without their phone for 12 hours. I know I could totally do it. I'm pretty sure I could do it. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I always have my phone with me. Always.
Yeah.
I'm not on it all the
Mhm.
time, but I do spend a ridiculous amount of time on my phone. Because I read on it sometimes, or audiobook, I'll listen to podcasts. So
Mhm.
on one shape or another, my phone is always attached to me. So I mean, we're challenging others to do it. Let's
Yeah.
report back at the end of the
Yeah.
week. This episode, after this episode ends, we'll report back on the next episode, and keep an eye out for our videos on Instagram and TikTok when we talk about how it went 12 hours without a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so stay tuned, people. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see
Let's
what
see if we
happens.
can do it. All right, so remember, you were born to be present, powerful, and awake, not addicted, not anxious, and not numb.
Yes, and keep in mind that we love you. Protect your peace, reclaim your attention, and we'll see you next week on Hermanas Unfiltered. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.